Today's video is brought to you by ablmerch.com. You can get all the hats I wear in the video, plus a bunch of other hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies, stickers, and whatnot through the link in the description box below. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Bernie Sanders going full commie live on CNN. Now, I'm not quite sure what this was. If it were a town hall interview, whatever, it doesn't really matter because he went full commie live on television. Now, there were some questions about his political affiliation. Is he a Democratic Socialist? Is he just a regular capitalist? Is he a communist? Regular Democrat? What's really going on? Those questions, in my humble opinion, will now be put to rest. And I do have video of what I'm talking about. After we get done watching that, I'll talk about what he said. I'll give you my detailed analysis, my 2 cents, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Back in the 1980s, Sanders had some positive things to say about the former Soviet Union and the Sandinistas in Nicaragua.
And everybody was totally convinced.
Here he is explaining why the Cuban people didn't rise up and help the U.S. overthrow Cuban leader Fidel Castro.
He educated the kids, gave them health care, totally transformed the society.
We're very opposed to the authoritarian nature of Cuba. But, it's unfair to simply say everything is bad. When Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing, even though Fidel Castro did it?
You said on 60 Minutes this weekend, it is unfair to simply say everything is bad with the way Fidel Castro ruled in Cuba. Now, Democratic members of Congress who represent Cuban Americans in Florida, obviously you got to win there, they're attacking your comment as absolutely unacceptable, singing the praises of a murderous tyrant. Response.
The response was when Fidel Castro first came to power, which was when? 59? Does that sound right?
59-60.
Okay. You know what he did? He initiated a major literacy program. There was a lot of folks in Cuba at that point who were illiterate. And he formed the literacy brigade. You may read that. They went out and they helped people learn to read and write. You know what? I think teaching people to read and write is a good thing. I have been extremely consistent and critical of all authoritarian regimes all over the world, including Cuba, including Nicaragua, including Saudi Arabia, including China, including Russia. I happen to believe in democracy, not authoritarianism. But, you can't say China is another example, all right? China is an authoritarian country, becoming more and more authoritarian. But can anyone deny? The facts are clear that they have taken more people out of extreme poverty than any country in history. Do I get criticized because I say that? That's the truth. So that is the fact. End of discussion.
So to the Democrats who say, you don't say good things about Fidel Castro. He destroyed freedoms in that country. He picked winners and losers and killed them and put them in prison forever. You don't give him a pat on the back for anything.
It's not a question. Truth is truth. All right? Now, if you want to disagree with me, if somebody wants to say that, and by the way, all of those Congress people that you mentioned just so happen to be supporting other candidates, just accidentally, no doubt, coincidentally. But, the truth is the truth. And that's what happened in the first years of the Castro regime.
All right, another question.
All right, so you heard that, you saw that. Now, I guess the elephant in the room would be Bernie Sanders 30 years ago does not look much different than right now, but that's a different story, so I digress. The larger point is that the same things he was saying back in 1988, he's saying right now. People say, you can't bring up old clips of Bernie. That's unfair. People change. Donald Trump changed from 30 years ago to now. He changed a little bit, but that's a different story. People do change, yes. But Bernie Sanders has not really changed much. You saw the old clip and you seen the new clip. I don't see much of a difference. He's still a big-time commie sympathizer, if not a full-blown commie himself. He said some really crazy things here. The first thing, Cuba, how are you going to try to praise Castro in the education program? Do you not see that there could be pros and cons, and the cons could outweigh the pros? Maybe you had a 20% raising the literacy rate in Cuba under Castro, but what about the poverty rate? What about the hunger? What about the unemployment rate? What about all of that? What about not being able to really deal with the outside world? It's just a mess. You go to Cuba right now, if you go to a resort, it's one thing. Once you step foot outside the resort, it's something different. The resort is like America to a certain extent. But outside the resort, you're living in a third world country. Essentially, people are struggling very bad. Food is really hard to come by. That's one of the main things that goes away in the communist society is the food. Okay, the food is very important. People are struggling to get any kind of money from working. You're talking about college graduates, people that are not lazy, they're trying to work, but food is just not that available in the country. Gas, not that available in the country. I saw a video recently from Turning Point, and shout out to them. They went to Cuba to just see what it's like for your average everyday person living in the country, not just in the resort area where everything's nice and, glitzy and glamorous. Go outside the resort. They had to wait in line to go to a grocery store. Okay, the grocery store had this big gate on it with a chain that you couldn't really get through if you wanted to. And it was a big line at the gate. When they opened it, it was like Black Friday. Everybody rushes in to get food. And you go in there, everything's the same. Stuff don't look too good. And it's not that much of it. And it's probably very expensive. Okay, trying to get some meat or something like that, good luck. They got a lot of grain and MRE type stuff in there. Trying to get gas, good luck with that. You gotta wait in line to get gas too. Supplies become very limited under communism. Speaking about food and stuff like that, he spoke about China lifting millions out of poverty. And that's true. Under Mao Zedong, Great Leap Forward, they did go from a largely agrarian society, poor rural farmers, to becoming industrialized. Your Beijing, Shanghai, etc. They're like these big, super high-tech cities with, a lot of jobs, a lot of money, this, that, and the third. Yeah, that's going on. You got all kind of entertainment, all kind of sports. Sure, I'm with you. However, let's talk about the Great Leap Forward. Let's not just talk about things that you may see as positive that came afterwards. Let's talk about what happened during the Great Leap Forward. On the low end, 45 million Chinese dead, maybe up to 80 or 100 million Chinese dead. Because what did Mao Zedong do? Okay, rather than being a farmer, Mr. Chinese man in the country, I need you to smelt steel in the furnace in your backyard because we got to be able to get these high rises built and whatnot. Come on, chop, chop. As a result of that, you had famine because if you can't grow food anymore and you're smelting steel, you can't eat the steel. A famine happened, people died. Then you had a lot of other societal problems, the one-child policy. Then you had cultural revolution, millions died in that. You had Tiananmen Square. You got political prisoners. You have quote unquote re-education camps. Right now in 2020, you have that. That's as a result of the quote unquote Great Leap Forward. That's a result of communism. People complaining about the two-party system here. Try having a one-party system where you have no say in who is your elected official, okay? They're dealing with the coronavirus right now. Imagine being in that particular situation where the government comes and welds your door shut. I mean, no freedom, people dying, all of that. So Bernie Sanders, was a Great Leap Forward worth it? All right. I mean, let's just ask, I got to ask him that question. Was it worth it? Do you think killing 100 million Chinese people was worth Beijing, Shanghai, etc., becoming very big high-tech hubs? I just want to know that. And if he says yes, or it's kind of like him and hawing, let's talk about Adolf Hitler. Oh, we got to go here. I got to mention this because let's not forget, before Third Reich, Weimar Republic and stuff like that, Germans are doing very bad. It was terrible. The poverty, it was a mess. Hitler came and turned things around. Yes, he did. Now, the question is, was it worth it? Was it worth killing millions of Jews in the camp? Was it worth, starving a bunch of others, sending people off to war, people getting killed in the war? Was it worth having a division, East and West? Was it worth all of that to have Germany be what it is today? Now, if you say that it was, then you got to be able to go out there and stand on that. You're going to be asked that question. And what are you going to say? You can't just not answer, because if you don't answer, that's the same as answering. Not answering will be saying, yes, I do believe it was worth it, but I don't want to come out here and say it publicly. You might as well, since you didn't answer, you said that China was doing a good thing, lifting folks out of poverty. Same thing with Cuba, the literacy rate is that and the third. Okay, talk about the bad side too. And if you can't talk about the bad side, then don't mention the good side. With anything you do, there's going to be a reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You're going to have pros and cons to whatever. Okay, you can talk about the Third Reich, Communist Party China, Great Leap Forward, the Sandinistas, Nicaragua. Talk about all of those people in a balanced way. Don't just leave out the bad part, because really, in my humble opinion, the bad in those common situations outweighs the good. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Bernie Sanders went full commie on CNN like I do? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or did he not go full commie? Do you think that socialism, communism can work in the US of A? People talk about Denmark and stuff like that. First of all, Denmark is like 5 million people. You got double that in LA County by itself. Second of all, it's not necessarily a communist place or a socialist place. It's just high taxes. Basically, you have that in California to a certain extent. Should that be the model we have here in the States? And why is it that these so-called woke and diverse Democratic presidential hopefuls talk about these 98, 99% white countries in Europe as models of what America should do? Again, you want to talk about the positive in your eyes you see from the country, but you don't want to speak of the negative that could be seen from somebody else's eyes. Yes, the country's doing well, but we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do that. Don't leave out the full scope of things to fit your particular political narrative. Tell us the full story. Don't tell us half truths, which ain't nothing but full lies. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.